Hello and welcome to my channel. This is Oracle of the Tides. Thank you for joining me. I want to touch on love. Let's focus on a love reading and what you need to know. All right, let's get into it. Hope you guys are staying warm out there because it is a brick as F right now. All right, so let's see what the reading has to tell us. They'll be back. Let's see. Somebody's about to spin the block. Ooh, I just got a shiver. Picking up Taurus energy. Home. Also the energy of Taurus. A person that is a homebody, focused on a home, luxury stuff, quality. It is cold and somebody's trying to be comfy. They're trying to cuddle. They're trying to get up in that energy. They're trying to spin the block. Now, I do want to say, I feel like I gotta pull this one. Give it time. Yep. Communication. They're gonna spin the block. Also picking up Leo energy, Leo Pisces energy, and any of those placements. People will spin the block on you, honey. They will spin the block on you, and some of the times, or if not most of the time, you know, it's because they got rejected. So now they're kind of like, oh, well, you know, I'm here to show up and show out, you know, which wasn't on their agenda to begin with. They're like, okay, well, sometimes people come back around just to see if you're still stupid, to see if they can still access you, also to just be nosy and see where they can connect chords. Some of them are looking for caregivers. Like, open your eyes, use the power of discernment, take a minute. If you're ruling on lust or familiarity, where it's just like familiar, so you're confusing that with like actual love or someone caring, just pause for a second, you know, take a moment, step back, reevaluate everything, see with like no rose-colored glasses, you know, how does this person really feel, you know, weigh in the pros and the cons, weigh in the times and when they came around back again, you know, and how much did you have to fight for it? You know, we all people love to say, you know, like love is like a battlefield. Well, no, it doesn't have to be always. Who wants to be like, you know, fighting all the time 24/7? I feel like that's such an excuse for people who want to abuse that power, to be like, you know, and also gaslighters, to be like, okay, well, you don't care for me as much as you say you are, then prove it, you know. And they, for especially if it's like a narcissist in an empath relationship, you know, they'll feed on that. But even just in general, if a person feels that they can take advantage of you while still getting their energy supplies elsewhere, they're going to do that. You know, some of them want a caregiver, picking up heavy on that. A caregiver where it's kind of like maybe they fucked around heavy, and you know, ooh, okay, now date night. Let go. Yeah, we're gonna get to that. So maybe somebody fucked around heavy, you know what I'm saying? And they're kind of like, okay, I'm now ready to settle down. You know, you might get the version of them where it's like, oh, they seem so peaceful and kind, but roll that shit back real quick. What were they, you know, how were they in their youth? How were they like a few years ago? Now, yes, we like to be like, you know, people grow and you change and give them a chance and XYZ. Here goes St. Michael. Yeah, if y'all been watching, y'all know he likes to pop in and out here. Things are getting spicy now. You know, like where were they before? You know, because people will at the end be like, dang, you know, get it towards the end, you know, and then be like, okay, I'm ready to settle down. I'm ready to attach myself to some good energy or a good woman, you know. And then it'll either be one of the two ways. Either they'll get upset because you're not there, you know, and you're finally in your peaceful era, and you're not trying to be anybody's mother, anybody's therapist, anybody's home health aide, you know, or anybody's mom, you know, and none of that, you know, or a counselor, any of that stuff, you know. They'll get upset, and if the gaslighting won't work, then you'll see they'll give you a lot of attitude, and those are red flags of more like control. You're not giving them the access that they want for you to take care of them. You know what I'm saying? Now I'm not, you know, I'm not like black and white on gender roles. You know, if the dishes need to be done, do the dishes, you know, male or female or whatever. But like picking up on high energy of, you know, men spinning the block for that. or masculine energies, I should say, spinning the block for that. So we keep it like that. Also, you know, people coming back in where they're looking for a mother. They're looking for, they realize they've just finished playing in the streets, you know, they want to have time with you, you know, it's like, okay, let go of other stuff, you know, make room for a good beginning. You don't have to, all because they spin the block on you, doesn't mean that you have to, you know, accept their energy. If you want to go out and catch up whatever just to confirm or whatever closure, by all means do what you need to do to like move forward. But there's other energies out there, you know, move forward. Don't let them entrap you in an energy where it's kind of like, oh well, it's just, you know, no one's gonna come and it's just me and you should be grateful. No, those are words of desperation. That is energy of desperation, where if they can just plant a seed of doubt in your mind and make you feel like, you know, there's no one else out there and it's only them and you should be grateful, and they're trying to like convince you so hard, you know, that's not it. That's not love, that's control. And familiarity is not love. You're just comfortable being in that energy. And is that energy like, is it healthy? Is it, or is it toxic? You know what I'm saying? Are you really utilizing your own energy, or are you allowing someone else to come in and do it for you and you know, reap off your energy because you feel more comfortable when they're more in control, you know? And not in a kinky way. Some people do not want to move. Some people looking for therapists. Some people might be coming back for forgiveness, you know, but they got too much pride. You know, they were out there with somebody else having a good time, you know, and they realized, dang, you know, this person, they sat around with them having lustful times, getting it in, whatever like that. Hey, you know, people are allowed to go and do what they do, but I don't feel like, you know, it's you should allow people to have that entitlement over your own energy in life, where it's kind of like, okay, yeah, you go, you have the choice, free will to go out. That does not guarantee I'm gonna allow you back into my space. You know, it does not guarantee that. And I need y'all to stand 10 toes down on that shit. you know? You know, if they get spin blocking, you have your own closure for you, but not out of desperation. You know, I know it's cold. People wanna try to plant nostalgia, and if they're not confident, they'll try to plant tiny seeds. Whether they're just trying to rear their head just a little bit, just to test water to see if you'll pick up on their energy. You know, heavy on that, and then like move forward with like, hey, this that, maybe like, you know, check in, send you a text, or yeah, send you a text and some clarification on that water sign. Ooh, picking up Cancer energy. Okay, send you a text, or you know, like a photo, or you know, hit you up, or you know, or you know, bring a friend into it, a mutual friend, where it's kind of like, instead of being, you know, confident and courageous to step in themselves, they'll go through a third party to do the work for them. All right, to get out of that, commitment, water sign, Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces, heavy on Cancer energy, Cancer like energy. Someone wants to commit. Water placement. I'm getting two type of energy. One that wants to be real cozy and commit with you, and there's like, dang, you're real chill, you're real cool. Their eyes are like puppy eyes and just glaze the fuck over, okay? And do you have the other, where I'm picking up like Scorpio energy, where they just want to travel and be like, hey, maybe more of a platonic thing, maybe a little, you know, Sagittarius type of energy, where it's like, we're gonna have fun and then we're gonna have fun, but then we're able to just like chill at the same time. And then, you know, Pisces they just might be wanting to be chilling out in the club, go dancing, you know, rolling up a bit real quick, you know. But someone wants to have some form of closeness with you during this time. Some may be a little bit more intense than others, but all are ways to communicate. And even if it may not be on the level where you might be like a deep sea type of person where you're all in, and they may not be like that, you know, still enjoy those type of, you know, commitments and communicate, just like memories, and just like, you know, just trading those energetic experiences with each other in the moment, and don't overlook it, you know, because a lot of times you don't see or appreciate the little details of just like having fun or appreciating certain people's energies, certain people's conversation words, whatever, until later on they pass. Whether it's like a long term thing, where you're constantly chilling with your friend or whatever, or you might only know them for like a week. They could be a traveler coming into town for 3 days and they drop some knowledge, you chilling, you're like, dang, I really fuck with this. This is energy. Because that's something you can also take back with you where it's kind of like, oh, I like how I feel here. This is how I want to be treated. This is the experience I want to have. Whether it's in love, when you experience that type of energy, not to pull it into like la la land, where every day is like a honeymoon, and you're not having a deep conversation. Those will come regardless, depending how deep you want to go. But even in general, but just having that feel of like, dang, I like this. This I wasn't receiving. You don't realize how much you were starving from certain energies and just simple communication skills until you met maybe that person or that collective of group, whether it's romantically or platonically, and even like I said, whether they're staying for a spell or they're in and out, it could be like a 1 day meet or something. I feel like people leave stamps and footprints on our hearts and souls. Let's pull another one. Vacation, yes. Someone coming in. Someone is coming in. Someone is coming in. Someone is coming in from a different state. I feel like they're traveling by night, or they might come to you by night. Pull up. Someone in a car. I feel that one feels like very specific. Whether they're trying to look for you, but they're trying to have an excuse to come towards you. Is given a lot of pride, energy, and also like meeting new people coming into your state on vacation, where you might be in a bar, heavy on that image. You might be in a bar, not necessarily that you're a heavy drinker. You could be having a salsa. You might be like, oh, I'm just going in real quick for one drink. And suddenly you might see a collective of people where it's like, dang, hey, how you doing? I'm chilling. You like strike a conversation up and you never know where it may go from there. I feel like through a meeting from like someone visiting, there's going to be like a domino effect. And I feel that is specific for someone who is going through a shift. And those people will come in and, shift something within you. And I want you guys to keep in mind that don't be so, even when this happens, don't be so stuck on the person or the collective where now you feel like, okay, this has happened, I'm taking it, so we're gonna do this for like a month, a year, whatever. It's like, what I'm saying, where now you're so stuck in a narrative that now you're still stationary and you're not able to be fluid when you need to be. If you're getting what I'm picking, you're picking up what I'm throwing down, y'all. All right, let's pull the bottom of the deck. Earth sign. What did I say? Taurus energy earlier, but Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn. People in their bag. Intimacy, yes. Intimacy, chemistry, people are in their back. They're trying to make home with you. Heavy on the Taurus energy. Virgo, Capricorn energy, I feel like they in their money. And I feel like there's, and with the intimacy, yeah, that was one of the bottom. With intimacy, I feel like if you're working with like essential oils, or you're getting to your sensualness, whether you're doing burlesque or making body butters, heavy on oils, very much heavy on oils and scents, and just like sensualness. I feel I'm picking up where you're now putting yourself first. You're now diving deep into your own sensuality, whereas before it could be all business, all business, all business, or you feel like you're micromanaging other people to either skip your own, shit, or you feel like it's only up to you to do it because nobody else will do it. I feel like, especially with Virgo, there's a pause right now where you're soaking in your sensuality, and you're just, someone is like a collective, you guys are like really feeling it. Like I'm picking up rose, the smell of rose, an actual rose, essential oils, red silk, like dress, and just like candlelight, just sensualness. Maybe you guys want to take yourself out to dinner in the candlelight, red candles, and just like doll yourself up. Put on some jazz music or whatever the case may be. All right. I'm gonna end it with one more. We're at almost about 15 minutes. All right. Any other messages? Oh, okay. Chasing. Oh, pursuit, toxicity, resilience. Okay, what I tell you about that? People that want to spin the block, spin the block on you. And also, you know, oh, because it looks shiny doesn't mean it's healthy. It's like, what's that fish that has the light that lives in a deep sea? You're attracted to it, but when you get close, they got them jaws, man. That's how it is. Don't get caught up. Don't get caught up in that shit. You know. And I also want to feel like, like sometime chasing, your pursuit. Ooh, no, that one was flipping. Yeah, sometimes I was about to say, sometimes chasing pursuit, it can go in one or two ways on a spectrum. Whereas like you feel like, oh my God, they're chasing me and they're doing all this other stuff, but like a lot of times we don't realize there's some toxic shit in there, but we've become normal. Excuse me, let me slow down. Y'all bear with me. I'm trying to get this message out. We've made it a norm to have these constructs like normal and like, oh my God, this is how I'm supposed to be. This is how I'm supposed to feel because of this toxicity. We don't, you haven't tasted fresh fruit because you're so used to eating leftovers because that's what they're giving you, and like you feel like that's, oh my God, at least they're doing something, no, we're not doing bare minimum. Especially with what's going on in this world now, we're not doing bare minimum. Okay, they can long for you all you want, and then there's the other spectrum where they got their shit together, you know, mentally, financially, uh, spiritually, every corner. They're not looking to be saved. They got their shit together. Those people are coming heavy on that. Picking up earth signs with that. Also Virgos on their shit. They ain't trying to have nobody mess up their flow. Some of y'all just got into y'all's groove and it's kind of like, nah, I'd be damned if I have a man come into the mix, or masculine energy, or put it where it fits, whatever masculine energy or your the polar opposite. Okay, maybe draw like another card. Oh, there we go. Return, second chance, opportunity, making amends. What I say, this is all about returns, spinning the block. But not just that. Also, a lot of you guys are gonna get a second chance opportunity when it comes to like jobs and like just opportunity in general, things that you've missed before, and also where maybe perhaps you weren't ready for. Maybe you're shedding the skin of the remaining energy of the year of the snake. We're in the wood snake, because like technically we're still in the old year, but the new year's is coming. So this last residue right now, where a lot of you guys are like shedding a lot of the old stuff, and you guys may have been like, oh, it's hard, and then it got good, and then you got slapped in the face again. It's always that very end, right before you take that really deep feel good release, where new job opportunity coming up, a second chance in partnership. Maybe you were supposed to partner up with someone and you weren't consistent with yourself, and you had also maybe some mental management to take care of, and stabilizing your home, and detoxing like all the areas and any areas of your life where you weren't able to receive. And maybe that person or those collective or group of people, they not necessarily did not like you, but they had to also choose them, and back away and be like, okay, well, you know what, they still have to do what's best for them, because not every time a person is kind of like, well, I don't like you. Sometimes they too have to choose themselves, just like you have to choose yourself, and you want to choose yourself first. They too have to choose themselves because they did the work. So some of you guys have now reached that level where it's kind of like that eureka moment, or like aha moment, where you get it, and so now you're ready when when that energy and that wheel turns again. It's like the opportunities are there, The second chance are there. Making amends with, I was about to say friendship too. The story emotions. Those having those conversations with people, or maybe that specific person where you fell out with. It could be someone at a job, you know, whether it's an old job or an old friend or someone that you haven't spoken to in a while, where you might get up and be like, let's for some of you guys, you might want to have a drink. You talk, and if it drinks, liquor doesn't affect you, or you're not gonna be throwing tables and shit. But some of you guys might just be like, oh, okay, we're gonna sit down for a spell and chuck it up, and it may be an intense conversation, but I feel like there will be some form of clarity, whether regardless of where that person is in their life. I feel like for a lot of you guys, it will feel like a big release. So it doesn't matter if at the end you guys are like buddy again. You feel absolute in yourself, and you know where you're heading, where you're moving, and where you are, and finding that peace with yourself. But that last conversation, I feel like a lot of things are going to come up. So if you had in the past had a conversation with these people and it just went left, or you had a conversation with this person or a collective and went left, but there was still residue, at the end, you're going to be able to walk away regardless, and you're going to feel good about it because something has changed where it's kind of like, I am no longer holding on to this. Even if they're stuck on a loop because they themselves have to go through some healing and anger, whatever the case may be, you have now phased out of that. Ooh, well, damn. Yeah, they have their own sorrow. Your problems are not their problems. Yep, a lot of them are masking. They're exhausted with themselves. They're exhausted. A lot of them, I'm telling you, you're going to walk away with your own stuff because they themselves have been through. I'm going to tell you something. When you get with each other, for most of you guys, when you have making amends, you're going to find out that they too have been through a life-death life cycle, and dark night of the soul, and doing all the heavy workings on themselves, and they realize, shit, well, now I know because I've been through this now. You can receive that, and things may be different, but you know what I'm saying? You can also release. You don't have to stick around for their healing and their journey and their constant testimony, because at this point, you are now the captain of your own boat, because you feel comfortable. You have gotten all the materials you need to make that boat operate. You've learned how to work and sail that boat with a collective, but now you're on your own. Solo sailor. You learn how to sail those seas, those all types of seas and waters and currents and waves, and now you're just like, what will be, all right. Well, oh, look at the bottom of the deck. Open your heart. Yeah. Receptive, empathy, valuable. Vulnerability, excuse me, but valuable, I want to point out too. So that's just confirmation that, regardless, trust the process. Trust the process, all will be well. Feel what you have to feel, feel what you have to feel, and expel the rest. And if you need to revisit it. But remember, you belong to you before anybody else's. All right. Well, thank you for sticking with me. Please like and subscribe. Until next time, let the waters move you.